Welcome, you now to another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast where we talk about, say it with me, baby, Latino, everything. Thank you very much for being here. Another year. Happy New Year. First episode of 2024. If you have not subscribed in 2023, 2024 is the time you need to go ahead and do it. It's very fast, very easy, and it's free. Try it out real quickly. Subscribe right now. Like, give us a comment. Thank you very much for the ones that continue to support. We're over 1,000 subscribers, 1,300 subscribers. Thank you very much. We're going to continue to grow. Thanks to you. Let's push the Latino content on YouTube podcast right now. Thank you very much. Today, we have an amazing episode because we have an amazing individual. We have a published model, woman entrepreneur, model booking agent, voiceover actress, and a lot more. Marylee, the Mexican Barbie, and La Casa. Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing very good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Did I get everything on your intro? I know you do a lot more, but minimum, did I get a few things?
You did. Awesome. You were on it.
I'm like a detective when it comes to this podcast stuff.
Me estaba estudiando.
Ah, claro. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with a segment that I like to call Preguntas al Chile. You have not subscribed to see the graphics.
Preguntas al Chile.
Preguntas al Chile is this. Do you like this? Do you like that? Rapid fire questions. That's lista, Mexican Barbie.
Lista.
Tacos o tortas?
Tacos.
Corn tortilla or flour tortilla?
That's a rough one. I'm more of corn, but I love flour too.
Yeah. Joyce over here is depending on what she's eating.
Okay.
Yeah, some people too. Some people like it in the breakfast time, more flour, and in corn in dinner time, I guess. Mm-hmm. Okay, gorditas or sopes?
Gorditas.
Jarritos or Mexican coca?
Jarritos.
What flavor?
I like the orange one, que es la mandarina. Yes.
Yeah, I like that one too. Piña, go hard too.
Mm-hmm.
Agua de horchata, Jamaica, or tamarindo?
Jamaica.
Team Jamaica all day. I recently discovered in 2023, so long ago, Jamaica and limonada mixed together. You'll be surprised how refreshing it is.
I might have to try now.
Hey, if you have not, check me out. Somebody put me on game, told me about it, which I believe it was Christy Lux. So if you have not checked out some Jamaica with some limonada, like half and half, oh man, it's like the most refreshing thing ever. Summertime, it's going to be my drink. All right. Salsa verde, salsa roja. Do you enjoy spicy food? Do you care for spicy food at all?
I like it, but I'm not a big fan. I'll put a little bit chile because I cannot tolerate it that much.
So which one would be, salsa verde or salsa roja?
Verde.
Team salsa verde all day, baby. Yeah. Burritos or quesadillas? Quesadillas. Menudo or pozole?
Menudo.
Churros or flan?
I like flan.
Like flan? What about choco flan? Have you ever
I
had that?
haven't tried that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be in your new favorite dessert if you ever get to try it. Valentina, Tapatio, Cholula, or Tabasco hot sauce? Valentina. Okay. The conchita breads, the pastries. You like the conchitas, the brown ones, the white ones, or the pink ones?
Pink.
Pink all day?
Mm-hmm.
I got a feeling you like pink. The pink color. You know what? I had a pink cup. I think I still have it. Maybe somebody took it. Or I might have gifted it to somebody. This one's way different. Way off. Not even close to the same realm of questioning. A conspiracy theory that you heard one time, and when you heard is like, that has to be true. You can almost guarantee it has to be true. Anything pops to mind?
About aliens, I guess.
Okay, so check it out. I'm not trying to jump on the conspiracy wagon, but apparently something had happened in Florida where supposedly these teenagers were, like, the whole police station was there. Like, it seemed like from the entire state of Florida. And they were all, like, just supposedly in this mall. And they were blaming these kids that were popping fireworks or whatever. But why was the entire police force, like, I'm talking about, like,
this is recent, right?
Recently.
Okay,
yes.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
So people are speculating that, and there's even some people are hearing that there's this thing, like in the radio transmissions, you're like, yeah, there's this thing, there's this creature, or there's this whatever. Some weird stuff. Anyways, if there's aliens,
Mm-hmm.
I think they were in Florida not that long ago. I'm just saying. It's a possibility. All right. When you hear the word Latino or
Mm-hmm.
Latina or Latinx, what first pops into mind whenever you hear those words?
Just a Hispanic culture.
Hispanic culture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do you mind if somebody calls you Latina? Do you care? Do you rather be Mexican American, Mexican? Which would you prefer?
It doesn't matter. Think it still represents the same.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, let's get to your story, your interview. So your family is from Michoacan.
Mm-hmm.
So do you know a little bit of their journey to the United States by any chance? Did they ever share how did they got here? How did they get here?
Yes, they crossed the river and stuff. I know the first attempt when they crossed, my dad got caught. So my mom passed and had to wait till my dad took another attempt to come, and then he was able to come the second time.
Oh wow. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
same thing for like I've said it's like a joke, like a
Mm-hmm.
running joke, but did the same thing. I crossed illegally
Mm-hmm.
until I became legal, but luckily I didn't get caught. But it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy that, our people have to go through that journey, even to get
Mm-hmm.
caught, booked, kickback, and then not to mention your mom was already here,
Mm-hmm.
and then he has to try to make it again. Was he
Mm-hmm.
doing it himself, or did he have somebody like a coyote or somebody that they hired
Mm.
to
I'm pretty
cross?
sure they had a coyote because I heard that it was one of my uncles that was helping them or
Mm,
whatever. So I'm pretty sure they had that in place.
got you. And when they get here, did they immediately establish themselves in Dallas, or is there another place that they established themselves?
That if it was, I think it was the Valle. I think like Corpus Christi area because my sister was born there, and then
Hmm.
I think from there they came over here to
The
Dallas.
Dallas Fort Worth area.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. That's amazing. Okay, so you grew up mostly here in Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
Texas. Oak Cliff. What
Okay.
what neighborhood?
Well, it's before it was like they consider West Dallas half slash Oak Cliff because
Do you know?
where the border is kind of like Beckley and then it's West Dallas.
Yep.
So, but before that, we used to live in Bickers, which is actually West Dallas.
Mm.
And then in my middle school, eighth grade year, we were more towards the Oak Cliff side. So that's why I say I'm from West Dallas slash Oak Cliff.
Oak Cliff. I don't mess
Hmm.
with y'all people. Yeah, ladies. Yeah, fierce ladies. West Dino ladies, Oak Cliff ladies. Hey, I love
A
the neighborhoods. Don't get me
mixture.
wrong, but combination of both of you
Hmm.
all together put
Like
together.
at work, I'm like, don't let me get West Dallas Oak Cliff on you now.
Man, all day, every day. No, don't think so. Don't do that, ladies. Don't do that. Okay, so how life happens, and it takes y'all all the way to Oregon.
Mhm.
Oregon for some time.
Mhm.
Okay, how old were you whenever you went over there?
I was 15 or 16. I just remember. No, I was 16 because I was a freshman. I had just got to be a sophomore the next year. So we moved when we were already out of school. So when school started in Oregon, I
Hmm.
was an official sophomore.
Okay, so your mom and your dad have a little bit of a friction. Your mom takes off because her brother's over there.
Mhm.
But when you get there, the high school is kind of interesting. It's different from what you ever seen here in
Yes,
what was so different about it?
they're big. They remind me like the White House or the movie Mean Girls, how the schools are so big and stuff. And I actually went to Benjamin Franklin High School,
Hmm.
so like their field for football is super big. It's just it was different.
Did it look almost like a college, like you
Yeah,
would describe a
like a
college?
campus.
Yeah.
Como exactamente. There you go. I know.
And then like a movie maybe from like you said Mean Girls because of like
Mhm.
just the cleanliness,
Like
the brighter.
That's true. It looked more like a university,
Yeah.
how big it was and everything. Yeah.
And then the students themselves was there a lot of raza, a lot of Latinos, Mexicanos?
No, because I think over there, what I saw more was people from Honduras, Guatemala. I've seen some Hispanics, but not as much. And over there, the culture is more Caucasians and Filipinos. And
Hmm.
I think I've seen Chinese people too. So, yeah.
So it's not like here, for example, here in Dallas, Texas, Oak Cliff, especially a lot of
Hmm.
Mexicanos, Mexican Americans. There is immigrants over there, but like a lot of different races, not necessarily
Well, I lived in
Mexicanos.
Portland, Oregon, so I don't know. Like in every city, there could be, where
I
there's
got you.
more raza, but where I live, Portland, Oregon, I didn't see it, and especially going to the school I went to,
Hmm.
I didn't really see that.
Did you feel any kind of any discrimination, anything like that over there? Because I think they're pretty pretty cool, pretty nice as far as
Well, they were like
open-minded.
the movie Mean Girls.
Yeah.
They were. So again, I was like, I guess they don't know nothing about Dallas, Texas, Oak Cliff. So I
Right.
remember some girl trying to be mean to me, and the hood got out of me. You know how back then when I was young, I was hood. So
She
a lot
learned that day.
and so I guess the girl was like, "What? I have never heard anybody talk like her." And I guess she was like, "Oh, well, I guess I won't mess with her." And yeah.
Okay, so they did try to be that mean girl,
Mhm.
maybe ignorant because they never seen
Mhm.
somebody like you, but they quickly learned that you're from a different place, from a
Mhm.
different state.
Actually, one of the girls I remember, she was like, "You live in Dallas, Texas?" She was like, "Your skyline looks like it's outer space. It just looks different." So it's so
Really?
crazy how they were asking how was Dallas, Texas,
Yeah.
and that the sky. I remember the skyline. They did say she was like, "That just looks crazy, looks different, and
And
this and
they're the
that."
ones that got the Space Needle over there in Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
Washington.
But they just thought it was just different, I guess, from their skyline.
You know what? I'm surprised they didn't tell you like horses or something like along the lines. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
some people think that for whatever reason here is a lot of cowboys and
Mm-hmm.
horses and stuff like that. I don't know why. Maybe TV
Mm-mm.
or something.
That's all she told me. And then I know one of them was like, I have family. I don't know if they said San Antonio. It was somewhere in Texas.
Hmm.
And then she told me about, do y'all have flying cockroaches? And I was like, flying cockroach?
What?
Well, I don't know what place in Texas does, but I haven't seen any. So I don't know. I don't know if it was San Antonio, Austin. So that was kind of interesting when she
Flying
said that.
cockroaches.
Uh
If y'all know anything about flying cockroaches in the comments here in Texas, because Texas is huge, by the way,
huh.
takes you like 24 hours more than 24 hours just to
But you know
cross.
what's crazy? Whenever she said that, I remember we took a road trip to San Antonio. I don't know what city we were at, but I remember pulling up to a gas station and there was a lot of, I don't know if it was beetle bugs or whatever. And I was like, probably that's what that girl was talking about. But it
Yeah, I
was
see
a
what you're
lot of
talking
them
about.
in the floor.
I know what you're talking about. They be flying, maybe,
So
but
I don't
it's
know
like
if
a
she
beetle
got it
more
twisted.
than a roach.
Uh-huh.
No flying roaches. In fact, we're gonna go ahead and debunk that right now. Okay, so in Oregon, how is like because all the stuff that I've seen over there is like a lot of big trees,
Mhm.
like water, a lot of greens. How was the
Mhm.
scenery over there? How did you like it?
I liked it. It's just to me it looks like a nice paradise, I guess, because the
Hmm.
waterfalls and everything. So
There's waterfalls.
yeah, there's a lot of
Really?
waterfalls. But the thing is, like the weather makes it. It looks like it's always about to rain or it's raining.
So it looks gloomy, kind of sad.
Yeah, so I think that kills it. And then in the summer, the little bit that it is hot, you have to enjoy it while it's there. But then I know in the winter, it's the mountains. You can see them from far away with the snow and stuff
Nice.
like that. So
How long did you live in Oregon?
I believe I was there, I think 4 months. I was the first one to come back.
Because you happened to tell your pops where you were at, right? What
Yes, my
makes you want to
mom made me
tell?
mad. She pissed me
Okay.
off one day. You know, I'm young, rebellious,
Uh huh.
and it's crazy because the reason she left them was because of me. My dad was a very verbal abusive and stuff,
Mm,
and domestic violence. So I couldn't deal with that, and so I was like, you know what? If you don't leave this man, I'm leaving the house.
mm.
So she was like, and she saw that I was serious, that I'm about to leave the house because I'm not fixing to continue to live with this trauma. And then she was like, no, 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 no. Fine, we're gonna leave him. She was tired of his stuff
Yeah, of
too.
course.
So then she was like, we'll move to Oregon. My brother's over there, and your dad will not even know how to get there because he doesn't know where my brother
Yeah.
lives. So one day, we would have friends like check up on him. You know, my sister had a little boyfriend, and then he would do us the favor, and we're like, hey, can you pass by just to check up on him?
Hmm.
And they're like, yeah, I passed by your house, and there's broken furniture outside. I'm like, what color is it? It's like green. I'm like, fuck, he broke our furniture.
What?
I guess he was probably went through a mental breakdown and
Hmm.
broke the furniture because we weren't there. And they're like, he's just walking back and forth. And I started feeling guilt. Like, is this guy going insane because we left?
Right.
Because my mom just grabbed our shit and left. My dad had got a call from his from his family members saying that one of
Right.
his brothers had got shot and he was in the hospital. So my mom took advantage to pack all our stuff and leave. And it's crazy because we live so close to Methodist Hospital.
Right.
So I was like, in that little time, I think it took us probably like 30 minutes. We packed our little stuff and then we just took off.
Wow. You drove over there?
My
You had to
sister
drive.
did. My older sister did. She was the one. Back in the days, we didn't have GPS, so my uncle had wrote this long letter with
Jesus
turn at
Christ.
6:35 and go all the way straight. So it was in letters.
Do you
the
ever ponder
direction.
about that? How like we used to eat around without no freaking
That's
GPS?
crazy.
Like,
Because
right now your
did
phone
it.
dies and you go into panic mode.
So she did that. My sister. We had to pass Arizona and all the other states we have to pass to get there.
And then your mom's makes you mad over there, and then you call your dad.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey, Dad," and he was like, "Hey." I was like, "You want to know where we're at?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "We're in Portland, Oregon." He's like, "What? Send me the address now." And my cousin, I have a cousin that he's a police officer, and I remember he said, "Man, your dad came to the house and said, 'Hey, sobrino, you want to come with us? We're going on a road trip. I know where your cousins are at.'" And I still remember to this day, he was like, "Man, I was so hungry and so sleepy. We got there. I don't know if it's 2 days that you get there, and they took less time to get there
Jesus
because
Christ.
they
drove all
did. They
night.
just drove all night and just stopped to get gas and get something at the gas station and went straight there."
Your dad was in a mission.
Yeah. So he was like, "I didn't even get to. We didn't even sleep in a motel. We didn't even get to do none of that." And I was like, "Wow."
Oh wow. I appreciate you sharing that. I'm pretty sure it's not easy to share that your dad, growing up was that. You know, I don't know exactly how he grew up, but a lot of the times you feel like some of the things are carry over until you
I
realize.
actually think with and that's something I learned because I have a son that suffers from mental illness. I feel that a lot of Hispanics, older people, have mental health, but since they didn't have resources back then, I always hear, "Oh, you already know how they are, old school Mexicans, they're like that, they're very verbal abusive." And I actually think it's a mental issue and it was just never addressed. I'm pretty sure that a lot of them wouldn't be the way they are if they would have got medical attention to actually see why they're always irritated. Why are they always, angry? And I just think that it has to do with a lot with mental health.
Since we're in the subject, let's go ahead and talk about it. So before that, though, was there any substance abuse at all on there, or you just
He was an alcoholic, but like again, I think a lot of things about mental because I've been trying to do research about it as well. I noticed that a lot of people that suffer from mental health go to substance like alcohol, marijuana, cigarettes, or whatever, because they can't deal with it. So if they don't take medication, professional medication, other people try other resources to deal with their daily anxiety, with their daily depression and stuff. So
okay, so tell me about what you're doing regarding having a child with mental health that you told me about. I'm guessing in your search of why your kid was having issues, kind of sort of connected with the fact that your dad might have been had the same thing, had issues because again we didn't have the resources, he didn't have the resources, or maybe even the pride to go to somebody that's a professional to diagnose him and let him know, hey, there might be something not right. We could treat it. How did you find that out
well, about my son,
about your son?
he was always irritated and he was always in a bad mood and stuff until I had to go get it checked out because I was like, that's not normal.
Right.
But also I learned about mental health. Sometimes it's because it could be caused by trauma. So my son's mental health first did start because he was getting bullied when he was younger. So then with that bullying stuff, he got anxiety because my son suffers from anxiety and depression. And the psychiatrist did tell me that sometimes if you can't let go of certain trauma, it keeps affecting you, and that causes the anxiety.
I got you.
So they're like, so there has to be different stuff to be able to deal with mental, like health, or like coping skills that they teach them. I just noticed that one thing that I learned when I was trying to find out how can I help my son fight this anxiety, fight this depression, I was to a point that I felt like I feel like I accomplished a lot of stuff in life, and anything that I put my mind to it, I get it. And I felt that with that, I couldn't, because I'm like, where's the resources that help us parents deal with kids that have mental illness? Because everything that I tried wasn't helping. He got the professional help. He
Mhm.
was in a hospital for a whole month. And it just seems like you could have the best support system, and sometimes that's not enough for that person.
Right.
So I just feel like if they give us resources, or if my goal is to start a nonprofit organization where we could find resources, or actually have group meetings with parents, and each parents could say, hey, this helped with my kid, or this other person said, hey, this could help me. Because I just feel as parents, sometimes we don't know what to do because it's our first time dealing with it. I was a little bit used to it because, again, with my father, how he was, we actually think he's bipolar. My father, I just felt like I have to accept who he is. Probably he is bipolar, and he has just never went to go get treated, and I had
Right.
to learn how to accept him. Now I just know that man's not going to change, and he's never going to get professional help. So I just avoid my distance with my father. I say hi and bye, and that's it. But until he gets professional help,
Right.
I think that he'll probably be a different person.
You said something very. It just dawned on me as far
Mhm.
as the way that we justify it as Latinos, as Mexicans, is ya sabes cómo es.
Mhm.
Like that's not an okay phrase to say just because it's
Mhm.
just that way. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? If it's unhealthy, if it's a weird thing that is just not es como es, we just
Mhm.
excusing the behavior instead
Mhm.
of finding a way to help them out. Because nobody's like that just
Mhm.
to be like that. You know, there
And
has to
that's
be
what I
something
would
that's
tell
not
people.
right.
I said, at the end of the day, even though my dad is the way he is, he's probably doesn't know how to figure it out himself. But again, I notice a lot of people with mental health, some of them don't want the help.
Right.
And that's the hard part, because they feel sometimes that ain't nothing's wrong with them and that we're the crazy ones. And in reality, there's all the red flags that something's wrong with you, but then
Yeah.
you're like in denial, like you don't want to accept that there's something wrong.
And it's one of the harder things for them to get them help because otherwise, if they don't admit they have an issue and they're
Hmm.
always denying it,
And it sucks because, again, it affects their social life, it affects their relationships, it affects their job, and it can affect them in so many ways. Just having mental health and not getting treated, because if you're like that at work, you're gonna get fired. If you act like that behavior everywhere, you're not gonna have friends. And growing up, I noticed my dad was didn't have friends, and at the jobs, he will always be getting into it with people. So I was like, oh, okay.
so all the signs were there, and the
Mhm.
abuse, the substance
Mhm.
abuse, in
And the
addition to.
verbal abuse, I think, came more when he started drinking.
Mm,
So then the
of
verbal
course.
abuse, and it's not one, like, again, like how you say, oh, así son los de Mexico, and I don't think that that's right, because basically every person that I know, oh, my dad's like that too. He's very, very abusive. You know how they, with their words, when they're
Yeah.
cuss and matratan and whatever, and I'm like, no, that's not normal. I just feel that, I don't know. It's a lot to still investigate how
Yeah.
how if how their brain functions and how they think.
See,
And
I know this
mhm.
as far as my side of my family is that there was a lot of abuse
Mhm.
beforehand that was carried over even from great grandfathers to great grandfathers to father. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Some of those things, if you grew up like that, you feel like it's normal for you to be able
Mhm.
to talk to your kids in that manner, but it's not okay. If, but that's all you know growing up. Your grandpa did the same thing to your grandfather. Your grandfather did the same thing to
Mhm.
your dad, and and some of them might be mental
Mhm.
illness, but some of it's just the way they would grow up, like talking very negatively, very toxic, very abusive,
Mhm.
and they felt like it was the norm for you to grow, to raise your kid that way, which is
Mhm.
not correct. Until you finally realize. And I empathize a lot with my family, my side of my father, my uncles, because I knew they grew up rough. I know
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with my grandfather, but I know if that's all he knew how to hand over to
And
the
it's
next
very sad
generation. It
because
is
my
sad.
mom says, I'm like, hey, we're young already. If you want to, you could. leave him. Ain't nothing holding strings to him no more. And she's like, no, I'm already used to it.
See,
So I
that's
was
another
like,
thing
that's
too.
sad that.
Yes, it is sad too, but yeah, it's just it's very complicated. I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
professional, but I know there's more up to it too. Whatever mental's
Mm-hmm.
going on with your mom to be able to just be there instead of something else.
I even had my son one time tell me, Mom, what about if I talk to your grandpa and tell him to take some of my medication so like that he could be chill and lay back? Like, because
Ah,
one thing that I noticed once my son got a medication, the irritation, being them irritable, wasn't there. They were more calm. It's like, when people smoke marijuana, they're more calmed down and they're chill
yeah,
versus when they don't have that. There's just, it's unbalanced chemical something they said in their
chemical
blood.
imbalance. Okay, so when did you find out that your son's getting bullied? Who was the one to tell you? Is he finally come to you?
Actually, he was in the 6th grade, and I got a
Uh-huh.
phone call from the elementary school saying, "Hey, your son has to be under suicidal watch for the next, I think, 24 hours." And I was like, what are you talking about?" And then she was like, "Yeah, it's because we found he was supposed to be taking notes, and instead of taking notes, he was, I guess, not paying attention and doing something else in the journal. So whenever they picked up the journal, he just
Yeah.
had disturbing drawings and disturbing phrases that said stuff, like, "Hey, I hate that I'm getting bullied because kids think I'm weird." And I also noticed that he would say, because he has ADHD as well. He was like, "I wish I didn't have this. If I didn't have this, I probably could be a normal kid."
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess since he isolated himself and kept to himself, kids would call him weird or just because he didn't talk and
Right.
stuff like that. And then that's when I tried different methods to try to help him with the bullying. So
Mm-hmm.
one of them was going to the schools and getting involved in his activities like parties or just being a volunteer. So I became a Dallas ISD volunteer for schools. And then he told me, "Don't come to my school no more." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because the kids only talk to me when you're around. When you're not around, they don't even speak to me." So every
Mm.
time I'll be there, like going to volunteer for the class, "Oh, hey, Miss Flores," or "Hey, Xavier's mom," and da 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 da. And I'm like, they're like, "That kid doesn't even talk to me, Mom." They're just talking. So I was like,
Kids
okay.
are weird. I mean, not in a bad way, but they're
hmm
strange little fellas.
And then after that, as he got older, he started to still have the same um, the same situation. I'm sorry, of still getting bullied when he
Mm-hmm.
was in middle school. I told him, "Hey, how come you just don't start rapping?" And he goes, "Rapping?" I said, "Yeah, because I don't like seeing you depressed. My worst fear is to come home and my son being suicidal and commit suicide.
Right.
That's the biggest fear for every mother." So I was like, instead of keeping it in, that's why he was always enojado, irritated, always in a bad mood, always isolating his room because,
Everything bottled in.
uh-huh.
No way to get it out. No
So
way
I
to
was
express.
like, vent through music, and he was like, "What?" I said, "Turn something positive, negative into positive." And even his father was like, um, do rap and stuff. So he was like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "But positive." So that's whenever he did a song with Little Flip that we came up, and he said, "My first song that I want to do
Mm-hmm.
is called No Bully Zone. And I want to start a movement where I spread awareness so kids do not want to have suicidal thoughts and they know it's okay to speak up." So then he did a song. It was Little Flip, Lucky Luciano, and then it was Mr. Big Boy from Dallas and Mr. Swift from Dallas too. The whole point that I was actually trying to do, I was trying to get all Dallas artists to do something positive
Mm-hmm.
with a youngster. So in reality, Lucky Luciano's from Houston,
Right.
and I really wanted Dallas artists, but it was so hard to try to get other artists to collab with us in this project we were having. And Lucky was like, "Okay, I'm down for it and stuff. I'll do it." And so they did the song. We did a music video for it too. Then he started getting more bullied because he started performing at the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids were like, "You're dressed like a rapper, you look like a rapper, but you're rapping about positive music and you're rapping about no bullying."
Yeah.
So he started to really get more bullied because of that. He's
Wow.
like, "I'm not doing this no more." He goes, "I'm going to give them what they want. They want negative music. I'm going to give them negative music." So that's when the depression kicked in. And then I was like, look, I'm going to be honest. If you want to vent and rap about negative stuff, go ahead. I prefer that than you even coming across suicidal thoughts ever again.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I don't really want you to do that. I said, but if that's what helps you vent, go ahead. I said, and you don't even have to do bad songs. You could just vent and freestyle at home, and say what you got to say. His dad even got him a punching bag. I'm like, hey, whenever you're angry, come home and punch the bag and let it out. And he started to do his type of music, and then he started to get depression again, and that's when he stopped doing music. So one thing I learned about mental health, it just triggers. It has flare ups. Like you can be good one day, and then the next day, it it's bad. Like every
Right.
day, even right now, like there's weeks that he's good, there's weeks that he's not good, and it's just like I tell his dad, I just live every day, not worrying about the next day. Like today was a good day. I'm thankful for the good day, and
Right.
tomorrow hoping it's a good day, but I never know. So that has affected me in a lot of ways. Recently, he's been having flare ups for the last 3 years. And I think a lot of it has to do with trauma because anxiety affected his eating and he wasn't gaining weight. So he had to be admitted in the hospital for a whole month because he was so underweight, and the doctors could never find out what was wrong with him until they finally find out that anxiety and depression wouldn't give him the appetite.
Are you serious? So it can
Mm-hmm.
affect your appetite as well. Not
Mm-hmm.
only just different moods that you can have and different
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Wow.
He has been through a lot, and they would do so many exams. He's so young, and he got a colonoscopy at a young age just because they were just trying to make sure why is he not gaining weight, why he's
What is a
not
colonoscopy?
the one. Am I saying it right?
I don't know. Colona-
Colonoscopy.
What is the word, Carlos?
Oh.
Colonoscopy.
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 He's had an
That thing.
endoscopy too, the one that goes under your throat to make sure you don't have no ulcers, no
So they put
stomach
a
cancer,
camera through
nothing.
his
Mhm.
throat and check inside,
In
and
your
then the other
stomach
one
and
goes the other way.
hmm
Wow.
Even MRIs, lungs, everything.
Okay.
And the
So
whole time it was anxiety.
let me ask you this. So usually, somebody seems to be strong-minded and everything. It seems like you can take whatever, you know what I mean,
hmm
and you can fight up anything. But it happens that the loved ones are the ones that get these things that attacks, whatever you might want to
hmm
call it, that they get attacked instead of one, and you have to really dig deep to get them out of there. Where did you get the drive to keep going, keep fighting for, make sure that you research, try to get as much help as possible for him? Where did that come from? Because when they first call you and tell you that he's having suicidal thoughts, I mean, I can only
hmm
imagine the things that went through your mind. What keeps pushing you to, get? Of course, it's your kid, but
hmm
I know you internally you still have to keep pushing forward and keep
hmm
getting strength to keep moving forward. Where did that come from?
Um, I'm not a quitter, so I always, like I mentioned before, like I'm very strong minded. There's times that like I told you before, there's times like I'm like, this is hard. I even tell his father, there's something hard to deal with. Like,
Right.
I feel like it's a lot to have to deal with somebody with mental health, especially when they get the depression. And I have to remain the strong one because I can't let him see that it's affecting me because then he will even probably get 10 times worse or knowing. So we're always positive and keep saying, hey, keep pushing. You have a purpose in life. I know. And there's times that he's like, I just can't do this no more, mom. I've been fighting for 4 years. Like, especially when he has his flare ups. Oh my gosh. Those are horrible. There's one time that he'll be like, my body's tired of fighting this anxiety. He calls it a cancer. He's like, it's like a cancer. It controls your mind. It controls your body.
Mm.
So there's one time he had a flare up. He's like, hey, Mom, can you give me a hug? And I gave him a hug. And at the same time, I was about to preach to him, hey, but you need to be consistent with the medication. I'm like, this is not the time to say that. So I just gave him a hug. And after he calmed down, I'm like, you have to be consistent, because there's times where he gave up with doctors. And he's like, if they would have caught this at an early age, probably I wouldn't have went through all the trauma medical-wise that I went through. Like being in the hospital for a month
Mm-hmm.
and having all these exams and stuff. And he was like, if they would have found that the whole time it was anxiety, because he was in a feeding tube too. And I think that traumatized him too.
Mm.
So he's like, if they would have did this when I was little, I probably would have been a way healthier kid right now. So there's times that he I guess whatever mental state he's at, he's like, I don't want to do medication no more. And I'm like, but it's helping. But one thing I noticed about medication as I continue to do research, any medication I notice, it could work for good 4 months, and then it, like, your body's already used to it and it doesn't work no more.
Right.
And I didn't know medication was like that either,
Yeah.
And so he's like, I already tried that one. I already tried this one. Like, I'm so sick and tired of trying them. And I'm like,
It's crazy that the body acts like that, and then even the depression itself can get used to the medicine that where it doesn't work anymore.
mhm.
Okay, so besides the medicine that they're giving you, what other obstacles do you see as far as resources to be able to help them out? Like, yeah, I get it. They can give you the medicine, but you notice that just can be so helpful because, every so often you have to check back and see if there's anything else going on. Was there anything, other resources, any other things that you'll be able to explore in addition to just the medicine?
The other ones that we do, he does have a therapist that comes every Monday,
Mm-hmm.
counselor, and talks to him. And then as well, I started to get him Bible study, which was a brother that would come from the church to have Bible study. But again, when his mental state is not there, he was doing good, and then he rejected the Bible study. He's like, I don't want it no more. So I was like, and I will always tell him, anything, that's the answer, is God. He's the only one that's going to be able to. And I guess he's young. He's
Right.
still a teenager.
How old is he, if you don't mind me?
Well, he's 17 right
He's
now.
17.
So I was like, they're young. They have a mindset that, they don't have kids. They don't have, I guess, one time he said he doesn't have a purpose. I don't have a purpose. And I'm like, you don't have to have kids. You don't have to have a family to have a purpose. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm like, your father had told you, you could have had a movement still going for the no bully zone, And I was like, and you could have been pushing that, but you let little kids get to you. And I tell them, once you get older, you're going to see that all doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And like, you were doing something positive. You were performing he performed for Gina's toy drive that she had years ago. And actually, Gina was the one that gave him his first paying gig.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's
So
amazing.
she was a beautiful soul that helped so many lives. So her memories will last forever.
What other stuff that you're not finding as far as other resources from either, whether it be
To
the
me,
state,
the
the government?
frustration that I have is that I wish they would have, just like they have for Alcohólicos Anónimos, they have their group sessions with other people. I don't really think they have stuff for us parents, because even whenever I do go, I used to go to Metro Care, and I will go to, before that, I forgot the name of the other one we used to go to. I'm like, so what could help us as parents be able to deal with this? You know what I mean? When they're being like this, what resources can there be so we can know how to react whenever a flare up comes up, or whenever their behavior is added to their mental health? Like, how can we deal with that? Like, I didn't know, like, there's times where he would be disrespectful when he was having a mental breakdown, and we're like, or trying to break stuff, or talking back and saying stuff he shouldn't. So I learned that when they're like that, yes, it's not right for them to talk back or break stuff. But at the same time, as parents, I learned that saying stuff, like upsetting, is gonna make it more to it to them, like adds more to the fire and make it even more of a mess than it is.
I got you.
So, for example, I could tell you like if he says something disrespectful or said a bad word while he had his flare up and he was so agitated that he started saying bad words. I'm like, hey, you don't say that to me. I'm your mother. You know what I mean? And as a parent, you could get real mad and be like, who the too, and then start cussing too. And then that would make it even worse.
So there's no support groups among parents they're dealing with this at all that you were able to find yet at all?
No, they said there's none.
Really? Okay, so with this, you're beginning to create or have the mindset of creating a nonprofit that will bring this type of things, these type of resources, this type of support group for parents that are going through things like this, that, hey, this happened, we had this situation like this, and y'all can share, and y'all kind of sort of gave your best input of how you handle this. You know, like that. What you shared just now is very interesting because, you know, as it's pretty sure it's frustrating. You want to just
especially
shout back
when
at him.
he one time he had a flare up and he broke the TV, a 65-inch TV that I had just bought for his dad, and his dad was furious, you know, and he could have been like, motherfucker, you know, what did you just do? And I'm like, hey, like that even makes it worse if we explode. But at the same time, like they just did something bad, you know, they just damaged property, you know what I mean? Absolutely. And I tried to break it down to him because I've been a manager for 15 years. So a lot of stuff I had learned how to talk to associates, how whenever there's an altercation with associates, how to handle it. So with a lot of knowledge that I've gained as a manager, I try to break it down to my kids too, like, hey, you know, and, you know, breaking merchandise, breaking furniture and all that stuff. I said, if you were to do that at an actual place, let's say at a job, and you were to break something, one, they're going to fire you or they're going to call the cops on you.
Oh, yeah.
So I try to tell them, like, behaviors you do at home, it's not okay, you know, because if you do it out there, I said, the judge ain't going to go like this. Oh, it's because. And I try to break it down so where he really understands. And I noticed that when you talk to them like that and put stuff like they could comprehend, they're like, oh, crap. You know, I need to learn how to control it.
Within this nonprofit that you're starting to begin, I don't know if you have a name, if it's in the early stages of creating it. Is there any other things that you're going to be able to provide as far as like another approach to it? Because I think the medicine, I don't doubt that it helps, but you know, there's the holistic approach, there's the diet approach of limiting certain things, because now we're starting to find out that Red 40 or whatever the case might be has, or this particular chemical has all this that can trigger things in your mind. Are you wanting to do things like that also, add in addition, like maybe a holistic approach or maybe nutritional approaches to maybe some of these foods are not the best thing for somebody that's dealing with mental health?
Yes, whatever researches that we could bring to the table and it'll be helpful for the parents. I think that's our plan. Even there was ladies that have nonprofit organizations for different stuff had told me, he goes, yeah, you know, especially when we're trying to do the no bully zone, he goes, you could get students that are going to college to be psychiatrists, to be counselors, to help you in your nonprofit, you know, until they do their career. You know, he goes, so there's a lot of stuff that we could bring to the plate. So I think people that already are in organizations is going to be a good thing. The reason I want to start the mental health one is because my son, when he told me he thinks he doesn't have a purpose here in life, was already depression and kind of suicidal words and stuff, when they're like, there's no purpose for me here. What's the purpose for me here in life?
I got you.
So when they get the flare up and they get the depression, they start saying stuff like that. And we're like, that's when I mentioned, I said, oh, what about we start a nonprofit organization for mental health so you can help other kids with that suffer the same thing. And they need the resources. Their parents need the resources to be able to know. And it's crazy because a lot of parents, even whenever he was in the eating disorder unit, it's kind of, they say it's mental too. So they treat it like a mental home, the eating disorder, like how they have it set up and all the protocols they do on certain stuff. It's kind of what a mental home has as well. So it sucks because the kids were having whatever stuff they provided there for them,
Mm-hmm.
but they never gave us a handbook. They never gave us
Right.
anything. They would talk to us one time and just ask us questions, and that was it. And I
Mm.
was so frustrated because I was like, this is not you. How is this useful for us? We're the ones that are living with them.
Right.
Like, tell us what we could apply at home besides the coping skills. And I just feel that I feel kids, when they're more in groups and they just see other kids dealing with the same thing, they should have had provide them services as well. And another thing that I learned
Mm-hmm.
was that Medicaid or any other insurance like that only gave you services for 30 minutes. So basically, what really is going to help is when you get services that last you an hour. If the counselor is talking to you for an hour, or any mental health services you're getting is more than an hour. And it just sucks that since they're limited to 25 minutes or 30 minutes the max, and it just sucks because mental health professional help
Right.
costs money.
Yeah.
So I
Definitely.
feel that's why there's a lot of homeless people outside and a lot of people with addictions, because when they do try to get professional help, it costs you an arm and a leg.
Or 30 minutes that they provide that is part of the
So I'm
government. It's
like,
not really not.
so how's
helping.
that helping? And especially when they're like, oh, for the homeless people, we're gonna provide shelters. Provide them professional mental, professional help, because that's what they need. Do you really think that if they were not, they didn't have, they had the resources, they'll be where they're at?
Right.
You know, so I just feel that that's why a lot of homeless people are like that, because they gave up on them and they didn't have the tools, the resources to be not in that situation.
Absolutely. You're right. And so you are going to go ahead and start doing the nonprofit? Do you have a name for it? Are
No,
you-
we're still, that's something that just came up, I think 2 months ago when he had a flare up. So I'm like, hey, that would be your purpose.
Yeah.
You having your own organization, you're pushing it. And as well, because I'm like, I don't know how else to help him. And that's where I'm like, how else can I help him?
All right.
And like his dad always tell him, it's a mind thing. And I really think it's a mind thing, because there's a time that I wasn't strong minded. And I was in a situation one time that I thought, the doctors thought I may have a possibility of stomach cancer. And I had in my, how the mind works, I had kind of like suicidal thoughts in a way. And I'm like, you know what? Like, this is crazy. Like, I can't think that what's going to happen to my whole family.
Right.
And I had some weird thoughts that I don't want to talk about.
Absolutely.
But
I
the
respect
only way that I was able to not have them thoughts that were coming through my head was to prayer to God to give me the peace in mind, to let me know it's okay. There's a lot of kids, there's a lot of families that keep moving whenever a loved one is gone. So if it's your time to go, it's your time to go.
that.
But I
Yeah.
had to program that in my head, you know, so I wouldn't have them thoughts that I was having, because I was like, okay, if it's time for me to go, I guess I gotta accept.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely additional things that you would need to do as a person. I mean,
Hmm.
I was ex-military. I felt like I went through some post-traumatic stress disorder when I got back from, because I was deployed to Iraq for about 10 solid months. When I came back, I feel like I acted irrational. I might have had weird thoughts too, but it was
Mhm.
like a snap, like no.
Hmm.
But I've always worked out. I always worked out, at least stayed in the gym and meditated for me
Hmm.
to help me straighten that part. Working out helps you here straighten your mind. The same thing with meditating. It's just part of the things that I have to do every day
Hmm.
to be able to be great, you know, not just good, but be great. And there's some of the things that it helped me
And
because
keep staying busy. That's what we
Yep.
keep telling him. We got him a job and stuff, and that's helping too. So he's at school, and then he has his job, and I'm like, you have to keep your mind busy. And I said, and as you get older, hopefully you'll be able to know how to manage it better.
yeah, I highly recommend exercising and meditating to
Mhm.
include in his regimen of the things that I do. I just feel that that's just something super necessary for everybody.
And one
to be
thing
able
that
to
I
be
noticed
strong.
about him, he's young, so when he did use coping skills, he wants them to work fast.
Yeah.
If he wants a medication, he wants to work fast. And I tell him it doesn't work like that. everything has a process.
Right.
When you dye your hair, it has process from, when you're bleaching it to become a certain color. There's stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. You're not just gonna get this color right then and there. So that's little stuff.
I would think like him. I would be like, I would
No.
want to get blonde the first try, but,
So,
but I don't know anything
but it's
about
an
it.
example that I gave him.
Yeah, of
Like,
course.
everything's a process. You can't
Yeah.
expect it. Even when we tried CBD oil,
Mhm.
like he thought, oh, it's gonna work like this. I'm like, everything. Even when the doctor was like, oh, this medication could take 2 weeks to kick in, he's like, 2 weeks. And I felt like if he's already having these flare ups, I can't have my son suffering for 2 weeks. I'm
Right.
like, this is not a life, because the way he was suffering, he'll wake up with his heart beating fast. Then his heart beating racing will make him gag. And he'll be gagging for a good 30 minutes. The gagging will cause him not to eat. And then he'll be irritated for like 4 hours and then barely try to eat something. So then he'll have trouble sleeping too.
Mhm.
So that's a lot to handle,
Absolutely.
So mentally, I know that it's hard for him and dealing with this stuff. And he even tells me, I don't know how it got worse. He did mention he had anxiety because of the bullying, and the whole pandemic, I think, affected a lot, because even when he was in the eating disorder, they said that a lot of kids were coming in for depression and were having problems eating, and they do think it was because of the whole pandemic just messed so many stuff up, and that a lot of kids were needing professional help.
Oh yeah, I mean, imagine the whole year plus they kept us at the house, and
So he said that he thinks that had triggered to it.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Not only for your kid, but there's a bunch of people that were affected by it. And I don't doubt it whatsoever. Uh, yeah, if you do decide to, again, I'm pretty sure there's. I know you've been researching about it. Whatever we are able to do, just let us know to be able to support.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, it'll be a great idea if it's not available to people that they can find somewhere people with common things happening, experiencing, sharing through experience of what they got going on. They can help out.
They're
That'll be
sharing their
great. Yeah,
testimonies, I
absolutely,
think will help.
absolutely. So, good luck with that. I hope that
Thank
you,
you.
again, I appreciate you very much sharing. We wanted to touch up on the things that you do. We are still briefly, but I think this is more important of the things that are being able to make a difference in the community, being able to make a difference as far as the, even anybody that can relate to the things that you're going through, and it's crazy that you're pushing through, and it's amazing. And I hope everything the best for your family, most
Thank
definitely.
you.
All right, so you have you started modern at 16 years old, roughly.
Yes.
How do your name came to be the Mexican Barbie?
So the Mexican Barbie came because my friend Big Boy started an online radio. He's like, hey, I have an idea. I want to start an online radio.
About 2 years ago, right?
I think,
Southern Vibes.
yeah, Certain Vibe Radio. And it all happened because when the pandemic happened, I had got COVID twice.
Wow.
And there was one time that I was isolated in my room for 3 weeks. That gave me depression big time.
Imagine.
So when I got out of the room, I was barely, and you know how they had us cerrados and all that stuff. I was like, you know what? I want to start doing interviews, and I think that kind of was helping me with the depression part. And then that's when my friend Big Boy saw how I was doing, and he was like, hey, what about we just do an online radio? And they had an office at the 211 building downtown on Irvay, I think. And I was like, okay, cool. He was like, and you could be the host or whatever. And I said, all right. So after I was doing them online on my Instagram, that's how I started. And then we moved to the building and we started to do it there. But then he was like, but you need a name. And I'm like, name? I was like, well, what name? He's like, a radio name. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, and I kept giving him names. I said, not the Queen of the South, because everybody has the Queen of the South.
Right.
I was like, La Modelo. I'm like, I don't know. And then I was like, what about the Mexican Barbie? I said, my parents always would call me La Barbie because I used to model since I was 16. So I la Barbie, I la modelo, I la Barbie. So they would always say that. So I was like, La Modelo, no. I said, I think I like more a Mexican and then Barbie. So I was like, what about the Mexican Barbie? He was like, no, say Marylee the Mexican Barbie. And I was like, I guess. So that's when it was supposed to be Marylee the Mexican Barbie. But then a lot of people wouldn't say it all. So then they'll be like, um, Mexican Barbie. And then from Mexican Barbie, it just went to Barbie. So I was like, I'm done. The Barbie was more out there. They're like, Barbie, Barbie, Barbie. And I'm like, Mexican Barbie? So I was like, I give up. So lo que me llamen, the ones that call me Mexican Barbie, good. The ones that call me Barbie, good, I guess.
Yeah, but you were actually with an agency at 16 years old, started doing some modeling?
I used to be with Barbizon Modeling Agency, which was big popping back in the days. They're still out there, I see. And then with DMG, which is Dallas Modeling Agency.
Then you used to do mostly commercial shoots. What were y'all doing at that time?
So that agency teaches how to do the walks, how to do different types of modeling, like the voiceovers. That's when I started to come with the idea of voiceovers as I got older. So they taught us all categories from modeling, and I didn't know there was modeling with your voice. I was like, duh, the ones with the commercial where it says your hair, Revlon, and blah blah.
Oh yeah,
I'm like, those
voiceover actresses. They're the thing. They're definitely a thing.
There, they used to call them models, voiceovers, or something at the agency, and now they call it model
Voiceover
actors or whatever.
Because I did a brief training on it. I can do some of that too. But the name that I know for the radio people are voice actor. That's what they call them.
So, yeah, I was 16 and I told my dad I wanted to be a model. And he was like, okay. And it was kind of pricey back in the days.
Oh, yeah, I can
to
imagine.
even. So, short story short, I met my husband and I didn't even get to go to New York. So I got picked because I thought modeling is like you just have to have the cute face, have the body, and that's it. No, you have to go to audition to audition to audition to audition. So we did the audition.
Rejection and keep moving forward to the next one.
So I got accepted on every audition.
Awesome.
And they're like, you're going to New York. So the New York one, we're going to go to the Gardens. I don't know, it's the big hotel in New York. I don't know if it's the Garden Square. I don't forget what's the name of
Madison
that.
Square Garden?
Yes, there you go. There was going to be the fashion show there. And every model that got picked was walking out of there with a signed contract.
Thank you so much for checking out this full episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast. Make sure you go and subscribe. Leave us a thumbs up. Leave us a comment that you were here today. Thank you very much. Till next time. New York Fashion Week? Is that what you're referring to? It's like the big modeling thing they have in New York.
It could have been back in the days. I don't know what it's called back in the days. But yeah, they say whenever we went there, we were getting signed. So if it was Walmart signing you, Gucci, we were walking out with a signed contract, the ones that made it. So my friend throws me a party, and that's when I met my husband, fell in love, and then I didn't go to New York because I was like, hey, I got accepted to go to New York. And he was like, go achieve your dreams. I'm like, no, because when I come back, I'm going to act like I don't know you. And then I said, so, you never know. You have that mindset, you're making money. Do you really think you're going to want to go back and marry somebody that's not rich like you? You know what I mean? So that's,
you ain't thinking of being rich?
So that's
rich,
why I was like, I'm probably going to be like, all bougie, like, security, escort him.
Who is this?
I don't know him.
Who are you, peasant? No, I'm just kidding.
So then he was like, okay. And my dad to this day, he was like, oh, and when are you going to pay me that money that I invested in you and that you didn't even go? And deportar de caliente. And I was like, well, I said, that's what you do as a father. You wanted to support me that one time. And, so even though he was the way he is, he still did some good stuff,
Yeah.
And I was like, well, lo escribes en el hielo porque yo no te voy a pagar, you know.
So you kept doing the modeling though, even though you didn't get a chance to go to Europe, you still did it here locally, right?
Yes.
You got, what were you doing specifically? What kind of jobs?
For modeling, it was just like fashion, photo shoots for fashion, and car shows. In 2018, I came back to modeling and started I used to manage models. that didn't really came out so good. So then I started to become a model booking agent
Because you saw it
instead.
when you were doing yours, how they function, and you kind of like that idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
And
are you still doing that to this day?
right now, I just do the model booking agent.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't manage models. I just do the booking
And you still
agents,
doing the modeling.
and I still model.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what other businesses are you running so far? You know, you got the characters, the princesses, and
Mm-hmm.
the Grinch.
So I dress up as Belle.
Uh
Then I
huh.
have my friend Les Amor that dresses up as
Shout out to
Cinderella.
Liz Amor.
And then I have my husband. He dresses as the Grinch. And then we have other characters as well for parties and stuff.
Okay. And what other jobs? What other businesses do you run?
So the other business that I have, I do custom gifts. So if anybody wants to do a custom gift for a loved one, they tell me what they want, and I bring the vision, and then give the gift that they
Nice.
picked.
You work with some. You a video vixen at some time too, because you've done a lot of videos with Lil Flip, GT Garza, 6'3", which is the Raw Music,
Mm-hmm.
ZillaMan,
Tum
Tum
tum.
Tum, the Real Kap G.
Mm-hmm.
Also, so you've done videos with all of them. You've been part of videos with artists, or you've been one of the ones for the models for that. Or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you help book some of the models for that too.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, that's awesome. When did you started getting into the videos? How? I know your Theo is too cold, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not mistaken, right? So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he has something a play to do with your son's music and getting the songs across. But if he knows some of the people that were in the song that your son did,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if has how it worked out. But how did you ended up doing some of the videos?
So in 2018, I wanted to start doing music videos because before it was just photo shoots and then
Yeah,
stuff
of
like
course.
that. And then I was managing a model at that time, and I was like, "Hey, let's get into," because we were doing car shows.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, "Let's get into music videos." Then we started doing one music video. We liked it, and ever since that, it just kept. I kept networking, um, and just daily, I would spend an hour, 2 hours on my phone, reaching out to a lot of artists. Hey, I'm a model. If you need models, hit me up. I have models. And when I became a model booking agent, I will always hit up artists and be like, hey, I'm a model booking agent, a model as well. If you ever need a model for any project, let me know and we could discuss further details.
Cause let's be real, some of y'all ladies that look nice, they are models. A lot of the times, even if you're talking about business, you might not even see the DM or not answer. But you have somebody that's willing to be able to go in there and message
Mm-hmm.
people directly to be able to you have the easier access to some money for a video shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just a thought that I had in mind. A lot of these models don't want to do the work, don't want to send the messages
Mm-hmm.
because some don't. There's some,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of them are not going to. So it's pretty cool that you get to do that part to book them gigs, and
Mm-hmm.
you take a booking fee,
Mm-hmm.
but they get paid their own money. You don't touch their money. You get your part.
So whenever I started being the booking agent at first, I will only charge the artist because they will hit me up last minute. They will need a certain look and they will work with their budget. So I have to find models that are willing to work under your budget,
Hmm.
your look, and your last call, like they'll hit me up Saturday. Hey, I need 4 models on Sunday, short notice. So I was like, okay, I'll get them. But so I have to find them. So yes, you're going to pay me for
Yeah.
me taking time to find the model for you. And so before I did it to empower women, I wouldn't charge the models that I would help. But since I started seeing a lot of models could be very unappreciated, well, now I do charge the booking fees to the models
Business is
because
business.
business is business.
Hmm.
And if you like me as a so called friend, then we'll continue to be so called friends outside. But business is business, and that's my business, and you should respect it.
Yeah. Again,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise, sometimes they wouldn't even message your own DMs to get booked, like
But I try
themselves.
to
You know what I
empower
mean?
women. Like my whole thing was to empower. My whole thing was I wanted big artists that do come to Dallas and will shoot a music videos to be like, hey, let's book with Mexican Barbie. She has the baddest models. You know what I mean? Because there's other model booking agents that I know, like Ginger, and it's crazy because we as booking agents, we don't beef with each other. I actually have gave some opportunities to another booking agent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hey, da 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 da, if you want this gig, you know, I don't have any girls that are willing to, but if any of your girls want the gig, you know, and they're like, okay, cool.
So now you're taking part of the pork chop, huh?
Hi, I'm saying part of that pork chop. I'm trying to
I don't
eat
eat no
too.
meats. It's disgusting to me. But it's great that you are. I mean, again, business is business, and you
Hmm.
put it in the work. And if they're not messaging, taking, it's weird to be able to message people sometimes, and especially looking for work. If you're a model, you look, you know what I mean. So you need
Hmm.
somebody to be able to do it, whether you have a manager, whatever the case might be, to put you to work.
And it's crazy because one of them that I do not associate with no more, she was having an issue about it, and she was my biggest cheerleader. And then one time when I did give her an opportunity, I think it was Busy Bones. Oh my God, what's the name of them
Busy Bone
art?
from Bone Thugs and
Montags,
Harmony.
yes,
Yeah.
He had an artist that he had just signed, and I told this model, "Hey, this is an opportunity for you." He just signed an artist, and they're popping back in the day, so this might be an opportunity for you. So then she hits me up last minute saying, "Can you tell the lady that I'm not gonna be able to make it?" But you want me to message the lady, and then I have to find out what you're supposed to wear, but then y'all have an issue with me,
Mm.
you know, getting a cut. So that's when I was like, you know, I'm not empowering women no more. I'm like, it's time. It's time consuming, you know. I'm doing the work for you.
Yeah.
All I have to be like, hey, Sally Sue, today at 4:30, you're gonna show up here. You have a music video. The artist's name is blah blah blah, and make sure you get your deposit. I did all that for them. So for them to actually have an issue with me getting a percentage from the artist from a booking fee, that is my business. I have my business signed. I did went to go get the name in downtown Dallas, so it's not like I just making it. It's
Yeah.
actually in paper
It
documentation.
trips me out how people feel sometimes some source of entitlement for just. I'm pretty sure pretty privilege is a thing, but just because that doesn't mean, again, you still have to hustle. Let some
I had
model
a
get
model
gigs.
say, I guess they felt like if they had opportunities, they didn't want to make it seem like they got the opportunities because of me. They wanted to make it seem like they got the opportunities and were able to accomplish that because of them.
Well, good for them.
So that's
More
why I
power
was
to them
like,
too, though, right?
okay, well, if that's what you want to do, do it. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
guess they didn't like the fact that it was, oh, that's Marylee's models. Those are Mexican. I noticed they didn't like when people would be like, oh, you're one of Mexican Barbie's models. Oh, I'm not signed to her. So they'll take it like that. But I'm getting you paper. So why would you feel embarrassed or they didn't like
So you
that?
never put him on the contract at any type of like
Remember, I
that.
was empowering women.
So
So
now there's contract.
there's going to be contracts, and if they do not agree, then the next one, whoever wants to get the opportunity, will get the opportunity.
I mean,
We all have choices.
not only you, but there's other people that do the work, like contractors. People
Mhm.
don't understand how contractors. Well, contractors just know the people, hire the people to go do the job, and they get
Mhm.
paid a percentage for it. It's
Mhm.
no different than the things that you do or
Mhm.
DJs that have a bunch of DJs. They put them in places. If you don't go out and get it, you sitting down and waiting for it to come to you. Sometimes it might not. You
Mhm.
might get lucky and fortunate enough that you get some, but some of them might not if you're not out there all the time putting yourself out
Even
there.
one of them said I should charge you because they're coming to you because of us. But I'm like, but I'm promoting all of y'all. I'm
Yeah.
like, they didn't even know about you if I didn't promote you.
That's true. Because if you're not putting yourself out there, constantly posting about who you are, what
The
you
only
do,
reason
then
they know about you is because of me.
yeah,
And
it's
a lot of
possible.
them don't follow the right platform. And that's what I tell a lot of models. I say, you need to follow the right platform. When you're a model, you want to follow videographers. They're the ones that are filming the artists. You want to follow the artists because they're the ones that are going to get you in the video. So I'm like, you have to be able to know what platforms to follow. It's not just, oh, I'm just going to follow the artist. No, who's behind the artist is a videographer.
Yeah.
So artists could know about you, but then you want to have every videographer in Dallas follow them. So like that, if they have an opportunity, they could reach out to you too because they know you're a model.
And
And
then
not,
some don't even take the time to follow them and say, hey, this is what I do if you ever need
mm-hmm,
something. Because you see videographers post all the time, hey, I need some models.
mm-hmm,
But you don't even do the minimum to reach out to them like, hey, I'm so and so. I do modeling. This is some of the work that I've done. If you need anything, let me know. You know what I mean? Things,
Mhm.
little things like that. They'll be able to get you connected and build a relationship with the videographer,
Mhm.
photographer. They can put you
And
on.
there's a lot of models that don't know a lot about modeling. There's a lot of ways to make money. It's just
Hmm.
not by modeling cars. It's
Right.
not just by model vixen. There's like the voiceovers.
Voiceover.
Like there's a model that didn't even know that um, whenever an artist puts you in their album cover, you should charge for that too. So I'm
Hmm.
like, there's many ways to make money as models, even for a promo video. A lot of them will be like, hey, how much should I charge for a promo video? I never done that. But you want to ask me? You know what I mean? But you want to ask me, but then you have an issue. So I was like, yeah, for a promo video, this is how much I start.
Yeah.
I said, and I go, yeah, and it goes based too. If you have a lot of followers, that even gives you more to charge more.
Yeah.
And then I told a lot of models too, and even other booking agents, we talked about it. A lot of models feel that everybody puts the price, but there's some models that barely started, don't even know what they're doing, and they want to charge ridiculous prices. Oh, tell them I charge $200 an hour. I'm like, 200 for local art, girl. Whatever artist pays you. You know, there's that's why a lot of artists don't. They want strippers to be in their music videos, but they know strippers pay a lot and they can't afford it. So then they go to models. So that's why I'm like, well, good luck because they don't even pay the strippers $200 or more than the stripper says. But okay, good luck, you know. And like me and the other agents talked about, it's like a resume.
Get you behind the mic,
Oh,
please. Sorry
it's
about
like
that.
the
Yeah,
resume,
of course.
you know, because like me, I could say a higher price because I've been in a music video for Lil Flip. I've been in music with all these big known artists. I could say a higher price, and then all the stuff that I've done. I host for events. I've been special guest for big events they done and stuff. One time I was a special guest for Dope House Records. They were here in Deep Ellum, did a
Right.
show, and when I was one of the special guests, there's times that I have hosted with Nina Jules and stuff like that. So I'm out there. I'm building my resume, and some models think that just because they've probably been modeling for 2 months, and they're like, "Oh, tell them 250, tell them 200." I'm like,
Don't even know the
and then they don't
market.
even have a lot of followers, and then it makes me mad when a model be like, "Oh, tell him 200." Oh, because they don't even have a lot of followers anyways. Probably if they had a lot of followers, I would have did it for 100. And I'm like, but you don't even have a lot of followers. But okay. So a lot of
Yeah.
stuff be like, they don't be making sense. And
So
I'm
they don't do
like,
they don't even know their own market as far as who they need to be able to reach out to, just or what is even the pricing goes for a
mm-hmm,
model. Just looking good enough is not enough in
mm-hmm,
the business. All right, we're running short on time. Thank you
mm-hmm.
so much for being here. Couple more questions before I let you go. Please give me all your social medias. Where can they
Okay.
find you at? IG, X, Facebook, whatever.
Okay. So on Instagram, you can find me at the official Barbie 18. And as well, and TikTok, I'm under Mexican Barbie.
All righty. And what is an important lesson that you learned doing modeling that you would tell your younger self that will help somebody else out? What would that be?
Strictly do stuff,
Yeah.
strictly business mindset.
Sometimes they don't pay to be a nice person. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's not that one is not nice, it's just one is dedicated to the business now, right? What is your budget? What
Mhm.
budget you work? I like that question from now moving in 2024. What budget? What is your budget? Are you free? Like, no, I'm not free. I'm very expensive, but what is your budget? You know what I mean? Because a lot of people feel like just because you're nice, all of a sudden you'll be able to
Mhm.
be everywhere, advancing them, and then nothing for you. And then how's
Mhm.
that fair?
And you could just keep plugging them in.
Or you can just do
Mhm.
nothing and be like, I'm good with not being part of your thing. I
Mhm.
mean, it's cool if I am. If I'm not, I'm great with it. I'm still gonna
Mhm.
continue to do my thing. You know. All right. So usually this is something that I say that's very it's a little deeper. It's throughout the day or when I wake up. I'm not immortal. I am mortal, and I will die one day. That's not to scare me or frighten me. It's just more to realize that it's a fact of life, right? That happens in life, and we're not gonna be here forever. And it helps me hurry up and do things like get things done and put a little bit of emphasis on hurrying up and getting things done. With that, I wish you a long, prosperous life. However, after everything's said and done, what do you want people to feel and think about your life?
Um to one thing that I have heard a lot of people tell me that I inspire them and that I motivate them. So I just want to continue to inspire people and motivate people. There's a lot of models that say they have looked up to me and stuff like that, and that they love that I'm strong minded and I'm a hustler. So
Yeah.
that's what I want people to keep pushing, keep staying motivated, and never give up, and always be consistent.
Yeah. And I appreciate that very much. I appreciate you very much opening up about the things that you're trying to do
Hmm.
that's tied to your son and the reason why you want to, in addition to all the other businesses that you do. I think that's why I see some people seeing you as an inspiration, looking your direction, but the things that you're done, the work that you continue to do and been doing. I can see why girls will be. I can see you get passionate about the business because it happens sometimes whenever you get down wrong, whenever
Hmm.
you give it your heart and all and everything to help them out or try to help and be of help, and then just makes you not want to be like one of the things that I dislike a lot is people that are not appreciative or grateful about the things that you help them out.
Hmm.
It just and I can see that has happened, but it doesn't stop you from just keep bettering the business
Hmm.
because you find out that eventually you just want to keep it 100% business to be able
Hmm.
to you
The
have to
only
provide
way.
for your family. You still have to provide for your family. You still have to do the things. So I appreciate very much you sharing, and I hope that anybody I'm a firm believer there's power in sharing with the information that you told us and with the nonprofit that you have in mind. I don't doubt that you're going to be making great things happen for people. They don't have a place, they don't have a hub, they don't have a support system.
Hmm.
They are dealing with mental illness that they'll be able to go into and be able to help them out and help change the culture of us thinking that así es como or así es
Hmm.
and like no, that's not okay. That's weird that you feel like it's okay to for us to leave them alone and así son.
Hmm.
That's not right. That's not
Hmm.
right. Knowing that deep in your heart you see all the red flags that it's not okay. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I appreciate you very much sharing that. Good luck with everything that you do and with social media being videos being with major artists all over. No doubt the Mexican Barbie, the Mexican Barbie, you are a global Latin factor. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate your
You're
time.
welcome. And I just dropped my eyelashes, so y'all make sure, ladies, to go check out my IG
All right.
and purchase some.
Give us the link. We'll put it on the description. Eyelashes. I think I'm gonna get some. Thank you very much. This was another episode of the Global Latin Factor podcast. Remember to subscribe. Why? Because it's important to grow the Latino community on Facebook with amazing stories like this. Go subscribe right now. Leave us a comment. Give us a thumbs up. And remember, we are just like you with the spice in this melting pot that it is the world. Till next time. Bye.
Gracias.
Thank you so much for checking out this episode today in full. Make sure you go and subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment. Give us a thumbs up. And thank you so much. Until next time.
What is the la Vigo? Walks like a pedo, but in fact is a flamingo. Coming to Havana.